Coming up today on the Locked On Hornets podcast, Brandon Miller appeared as a prosecution witness in a capital murder trial that took place in January 2023, stemming from a shooting that happened at that time. We finally get details on something that we had questions about before Brandon Miller was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. We break that down coming up next.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. That includes YouTube. There's Doug Branson. You can find him on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. You also can listen to him on his other podcast, Locked On NBA, with Matt Moore and Hayes. I'm Walker Mail. You can listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Smiling, Doug Branson. Let's go to you. What are you smiling about? You got some laughs for us real quickly with the Locked On NBA episode, playoffs, or anything like that? You're smiling for a reason.
I'm just happy to be breathing and next to you and talking Hornets basketball. That's it.
So we play this game. This is a game I play with Wes too, where Wes will be looking at his computer and then he's dying laughing while I'm bringing the show in, and we'll have to play that game as well. We got to go to, is it good enough to make the show, or is it just something that you're doing, not realizing that we're doing a show? And so I got to check in with both my co-hosts on that matter.
All right. If you really want to pull back the curtain, if you really want to derail the show already, I'll tell you what happened. I was having some technical difficulties as we open the show. The cameras come up. I'm trying to get this window pulled up and get in the window in the right place. And so my face is contorting as I'm trying to figure that out. You can rewind the tape and see when that's happening. And then I look up at the screen that I have in front of me and I realize, I'm on camera. I should probably smile. And so then I did it and it was all weird and awkward. And I'm sorry that I pulled us here.
Right. I really probably do Wes a disservice for calling him out more, but you're on camera. Like, I don't know if there's something, I don't know about the whole camera of it all. And so that's why I called you out. Anyways, Doug Branson, ladies and gentlemen, everyhornetsboxscore.com and Locked On NBA. Yeah, let's get to some of the details that come out on this Brandon Miller situation. So if you'll remember, Brandon Miller was involved in an incident that took place, a capital murder that happened in January of 2023. He was involved by bringing the gun. He brought the weapon that was used into this murder, and there were all sorts of questions that floated about Brandon Miller transitioning to the NBA, what was happening during his college basketball playing days. We can remember Nate Oates and company at Alabama just decided to not really do anything about it as it pertains to Brandon. He just kept playing games, and that was a huge talking point for quite a while. They decided not to press pause. Hey, somebody got killed. Maybe we decide to just hold on to playing Brandon Miller for a little while, just for a few games, right? But anyways, that was a separate talking point back then. We had not received real details on the matter. Brandon Miller hadn't opened up about it until Thursday, until yesterday. Brandon Miller testified Thursday that he was almost struck by bullets fired into his car during the January 2023 shooting that killed Jamia Harris near the Strip in Tuscaloosa. I want to read this verbatim just as to not confuse any details and make sure I get this right. But this is written up by Michael Rothstein of ESPN.com. And here's what he writes. Brandon appeared as a prosecution witness in that capital murder trial of Michael Lynn Davis, accused of fatally shooting Jamia Harris, a 23-year-old Birmingham woman, early in the morning of January 15th, 2023. So Miller testified for almost 90 minutes on the matter. It is the first time that Miller has opened up or spoken publicly at length about the night of the shooting. A couple of the highlights as to what's interesting to know about from all of this. Miller, who's not been accused of any wrongdoing, he had driven the gun to the scene where it was taken out of the car by Darius Miles, his teammate, and Michael Lynn Davis, which, as we read, seems to be just a friend of a couple of players on the basketball team. Apparently, he was just kind of hanging around the basketball team every now and then. He'd be at open practice. It really weird with his involvement, but Michael and Davis a part of this. Brandon Miller was first brought up in connection with the case in February 2023 when a police investigator testified that Miller drove the car that had Darius Miles' gun in it, and that was used by Michael Lynn Davis to shoot Jamia Harris. eventually with her passing away. So all of this is interesting because, one, we're getting the details, but also we realize that Brandon Miller and Cooper Lee, Alabama's basketball manager at the time as well, when they go to pick up Darius Miles and Michael Lynn Davis after they had gone on a night out, Brandon Miller, he actually goes home a little early. They go back to pick him up. And then after Michael Davis shoots Jamia Harris, it's written as he's running away, and then they shoot into Brandon Miller's car, and the bullets miss Brandon and Alabama basketball manager Cooper Lee as well. And so there's actually footage in the car of Brandon saying, oh my God, oh my God. After a while, they kind of like pull over and take a breather, and you can hear them saying, what just happened? We almost just died. Oh my God. So a really tense situation. Then eventually Brandon Miller later on would go to the police station and then, give a report, I believe, along with his attorney. But okay, so all of that, right? I know that's a lot of information, but we kind of found out what took place with Brandon. I throw all that to you, Doug. I know you got to read the article as well. What were some of your takeaways with just some of the highlights, if you will, as to what happened that night?
I think we had a lot of these details sprinkled in different stories in the lead up to the draft, and we know that the Charlotte Hornets like assembled a team of people to like go to Alabama and figure out what happened and who was involved and what kind of person Brandon Miller is, and they all came back confident that this was a unfortunate situation where Brandon Miller put himself in that situation. And so like obviously he's been cleared of criminal wrongdoing, but he made some decisions that I'm sure if you asked him, he would say, yeah, I would not make those same decisions anymore. And that's, he has to, but of course, Brandon Miller, just like on a human level, he has to live with everything that happened that night, and both from the perspective of someone was murdered, and also that he almost was shot, and whether he would have died or been seriously injured, that would have affected, if he was seriously injured, that would have affected the rest of his life and the rest of his career. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a lot to be on your shoulders. It seems like he didn't have to cooperate in this situation, so it's nice that he is being cooperative and being a witness for the prosecution here. But yeah, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot for someone to carry. And obviously, we can't really ask the question, did it affect him this season because he didn't play? But I think this is the kind of thing that's going to sit with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and just a couple of other things to mention here. Miller was asked about he was asked about his cooperation. So the attorney asked whether he had been offered anything in exchange for not being charged with a crime in this case. Basically, was there a deal made? Miller testified, no, there was no promises. I'm just being cooperative with all of this, which rings true and has been pretty consistent throughout this entire process, going all the way back to January, February 2023 to where we are now, May of 2025. And if you'll remember, Doug, when we were talking about Brandon Miller and whether the Hornets should draft him, we obviously talked about this incident specifically, but with all of the research and all of the investigation being done, you have what you can say publicly, you have what's written, and okay, this is what we know about the Brandon Miller situation. And then you have the rumors from people talking about like, oh man, this looks bad, this isn't great. There was none of that, right? Like as it pertains to Brandon and his criminal involvement, which there is none, right? He is not accused of any wrongdoing here. Correct. He himself is not on trial. He is a witness, right? So there's no criminal wrongdoing. It's certainly a bad decision to make, to decide to go pick up Michael Davis and Darius Miles, and he was asked to bring the gun to the scene, and so he did. That's clearly a bad decision because there's not many good things that can happen with you driving a gun to a situation where somebody is asking for it. So yeah, bad decision, but also it felt like, guys, this is not good. At the same time, I don't know if this is such a thing involved with Brandon Miller as to why there's just no way that we can draft him second overall. And remember, once we got past the initial reportings on this, we kind of moved past the whole, you shouldn't draft Brandon Miller because of this. If you didn't want to draft Brandon, it was because you liked Scoot essentially better. It wasn't for this incident. And it feels like that kind of plays out with the details that are revealed today.
Yeah, all you can hope is that Brandon reflects on all of that situation and goes, hey, I've got a extremely bright future ahead of me. I should probably not put myself in those situations, be around people that would put me in those situations, that would ask me to do those things. I've got to take care of myself in that respect. And, from everything that I've seen since then, that's been the kind of person that he's been, and hopefully will continue to be, because the Hornets, as a franchise, are due to invest a lot of capital in him moving forward. And you, and as a franchise, they've had to deal with so many off the court issues with players that you hope that this was, obvious, and we're putting the focus on him, obviously, because that's the player that plays for the Charlotte Hornets. But, you hope that this is a situation that's I don't know, scared him straight, I guess. I'm good. I had bullets fired into my car. That's a wake up call.
Yeah.
That would be a wake up call for anyone, that it's hey, it's time to figure my ish out.
Yeah. And so there's still, go read the article, ESPN.com, Michael Rothstein writes it, and you can come away with your own takeaways on it. There's still some questions unanswered, like the whole, Michael Davis running away after the murder, shooting into Brandon Miller's car is a question that I still have as to why that happened. There's some pretty dark answers that you could go with, but it's all a dark situation to begin with. All that to say, with what Brandon is doing now, all he's doing is being a delight to talk to, being a fun personality. It seems like Brandon Miller had zero issues off of the court whatsoever, and Brandon that night clearly made a terrible decision. Brandon Miller clearly involved with some wrong people, including Michael Davis specifically, Darius Miles also. But what you have here is Brandon just being away from all of it now, hey, that was messed up. I'm good. And that has all been true of Brandon Miller just being a good dude ever since he's been away from that situation. And I think that's why everybody was okay with drafting him once they found out some details on it.
Last thing for me. So I never made a mistake on this level when I was younger, but certainly when I was Brandon Miller's age, I made mistakes that I look back on and say, that was really stupid. I should not have put myself in that situation. Some of them were just a little bit dangerous. I think back and go, if one thing, obviously I'm thinking about this a lot as I have a baby of my own now, but I think about myself and hey, if one little situation goes slightly wrong, that could have changed the rest of my life, right? But at the time, I wasn't willing to be reflective about that because it was probably too scary. I was young, invincible. I wanted to move forward. I'm curious for Brandon Miller as he gets older and becomes whatever he becomes as a player in the NBA, if he will open up someday and reflect upon that moment, because it just, when you read the details, it's impossible to walk away from that and go, man, that could not have affected him in any way except dramatically. I don't expect him to really be very talkative about it. When next time microphones are in front of him, he may be asked about it. But I wonder, just on a human level, I'm just curious what he thinks about all that and how he thinks it will have affected him as he gets to an age upon which he can reflect.
And I wonder if he does, to be honest, because he would tell you, man, just a pretty tragic situation. That's all he would talk about. Part of it is you can't talk about it with the lawsuit going on, right? So you're limited in what you can say. But Brandon, it's not like he's not really an open book. I wouldn't say that. I think if you tap into something, and if you have fun with him, Brandon will start to open up a little bit. That's not unlike other players. But I wonder if there's a comfortable situation that he's in where he starts to open up and reflect, because it feels like there's been comments from him in the past where he thinks back on it and you could almost see it in his eyes, the severity that he realizes of it, except he just can't talk about it because it's a lawsuit, it's going on still. So yeah, God almighty. Yeah, scary situation, especially with some of the details that we have learned about now with Brandon Miller's 90-minute cross-examination. All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Transition!
Bees everywhere!
Let's make the awkward transition from capital murder trials to Hall of Fame arguments. That's right. We do it all here on Locked On Hornets. We make those types of awkward transitions. We do have some Sicko Satchel questions about Muggsy Bogues' Hall of Fame case. Also, Big Three tournament style. What kind of team would you build from previous Charlotte Hornets or Bobcats members? We have a couple of those questions to answer on the other side. This episode is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, you know what time it is. Playoff season means big performances and even bigger rewards. DoorDash is bringing the heat with a slam dunk deal for Dash Pass members during the 2025 NBA playoffs. It's called They Swoosh, You Score. Anytime a player drops 50 or more points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members score a free three-piece. Free three.
It's tough. I'll just be honest with you. I got to do this on Locked On NBA. That word combination is difficult.
A free three, not a free throw, not a three-pointer, a free three-piece crispy tender combo from Wingstop the very next day. Just place an order of $20 or more. Use the code Wingstop50 at checkout, and that combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, and totally free. Offer valid noon to midnight the day after the game. Terms apply. So here's the play. Sign up for Dash Pass to unlock this and more exclusive deals all season long. When any player scores 50 or more in a playoff game, Dash Pass members can grab a free three-piece crispy tender combo from Wingstop the next day. Nailed it. With $20 plus order and code Wingstop50. That's Dash Pass. Your door to more savings. More flavor and more ways to win. Terms apply. Free throw, three-piece, chicken tenders. More to come, Locked On Hornets.
Free.
The tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. I need to work on it. Sicko Satchel. Oh, you
well,
like that?
Just really quickly, I love that. Obviously, I love that.
Okay.
But also, Donovan Mitchell was 2 points away from swooshing and saving. He was in game 2. He almost put a 50-piece and gave us a free 3-piece. So close. Also, the Cavaliers, I'm going to write this for every Hornets box score today. The Cavaliers are my nightmare. The Hornets, I wake up in a cold sweat from nightmares of the Hornets winning 60-plus games. The media not really ever truly believing in us because it sort of came out of nowhere. And then getting into the playoffs, smoking the Miami Heat in round 1. And then in round 2, when it's time to get down to business, you go down 0-2 at home and everyone is laughing at you. That is nightmare material for me and the Charlotte Hornets. Like, they finally get taken seriously and then they run into a telephone pole.
Oh, especially in this round, which I think you're alluding to, but just to clear this up for anybody else, the reason this is particularly painful, that scenario you paint, is that they would be denied their first Eastern Conference playoff trip ever, or Eastern Conference Finals trip ever. If this were to happen in the second round to the Hornets, where they were the better team all year long, and yet this happens to them in the second round, yikes. You're right. That's a nightmare.
And it's injuries too, which it would be, after the Hornets finally have a healthy season, they win 48, 50, 52, 60 games, and they get in the playoffs. They finally win a playoff series for the first time in 23 years. I would love all of that, but then for the injury bug to come back and crush you in the round 2, like, that's nightmare stuff, man. I'd still take it. I would still take it, because what we're in now is hell. I'll take nightmares over hell, but
sure.
Yeah.
You know what? I like that. I'll take nightmares over hell. Sicko Satchel time. What kind of question do you have for the people?
Okay, so this one comes from a longtime listener and very active in the Sicko Satchel, Hallie of the 12th Dwight Howard Division. Tom Habistro was on the right time last week, saying he thinks that Muggsy Bogues should be in the Hall of Fame. Do you agree? And how meaningful would that be to you? I would love to see the franchise campaign for something like that. Really try to own the media narrative around the franchise and produce some positive stories, especially after being voted the worst organization.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Muggsy in the Hall of Fame. I don't want to. I only want to argue on his behalf. I only want to argue for Muggsy to make it into Springfield, right? So we've had this conversation before. We do it probably every offseason because of how amazing it is. Muggsy being 5'3" and being a legitimately good basketball player, that's the case. There's not anybody walking around that short period.
Yeah.
There's not many 5'3" dudes that you know. Fully grown adults. There's not many 5'3" dudes out there just walking about at that size, let alone playing basketball, let alone being good. Legitimately good at basketball. So that's the case. It's that this body, this package, for someone to play in the league that long and be awesome and be really tough to dribble against because he was just going to get under your hip because that's how tall he was, and then he would steal the basketball constantly. Yeah, Muggsy Bogues, the fact that he played in the league for as long as he did and put up the numbers that he did, I hate when people just try to say he was a novelty and that was it. That's the only reason we appreciate him. I hate that so much because, well, he was only 5'3". That's the only reason we love him so much. It's a big reason. Also, he was an awesome point guard for so long for this team that put guys in the right position to succeed. And ask those players about Muggsy. Dell loves him. Zoe, LJ, they freaking love Muggsy Bogues. All that being said, the stat line that you would compare from Muggsy to everybody else in the Hall of Fame, it would be the worst. And so I don't know if that's something that I would be arguing for. But I'll tell you this. If it ever happened, if the Hornets decided that this was the campaign that they wanted to roll out, I wouldn't argue against it, and I would just go where the lazy river takes me.
I love Muggsy Bogues. As a kid growing up, knowing that someone of that height was being successful in professional athletics, like that was inspiring. It made you feel like you could do anything. And he made you, just as a person, like he made you feel like you could do anything. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? No. Like for all the reasons that Walker just laid out there. And I don't look, as a Hornets fan, I don't know that I would want a player in the Hall of Fame that everyone agreed that's the worst player just by statistics. Yeah. The worst player in the Hall of Fame. That I don't know that would feel very good. I would love to see Muggsy in some kind of installation within the, like if I visit the Hall of Fame, see Muggsy somewhere with Spud Webb and some of the other, like, hey, these are players that overcame a lot of whatever things that would normally disqualify someone from being a professional basketball player. These players overcame that. I would love that. That would be great. That would be meaningful to me because it would tell the story more so than seeing his bust in the Hall of Fame. It would tell his story. So that would be meaningful to me. Would I like to see the franchise campaign for that? I would say actually no. And my reasoning being that they only have a limited bandwidth. And I would love to, and I've said this before on the show, I would love to see them transition that bandwidth away from the nostalgia of the 90s. It's over. I think there are a lot of people in Charlotte that care about it deeply, but not enough people to actually impact getting people into the seats. The only thing that does that is current, present success, putting a winning product on the floor. I mean, they didn't even put a campaign together, really, I thought a serious campaign, to get LaMelo into the All-Star game. So, I would love to see them invest whatever they've got to invest in this current roster, in this current team, and making it the best they can. Everything else, starter jackets, loved them. They're a distraction. These throwback jerseys, love them. They're a distraction. Focus on the now. That's what I want to see.
If you want to sell it in the team store, fine, right? Like in terms of the social media, in terms of the campaigns, I'm with you. Okay,
start some new traditions. This. Like I loved the Hugo the Hornet inflatable. Going around the Charlotte Coliseum, dropping things. Yes. It was cool to see it when the Hornets first came back. They're not really doing it anymore, but I don't want to see them go back to it. I want them to start new traditions. And honestly, the only way you can really do that, the only way you can start new traditions is by making the freaking playoffs. That's where you start traditions that people remember. That's why everybody says Loud City, Oklahoma City. Like, that's where you start that stuff. And it's pathetic when they try to make things happen in seasons where they're not actually serious. So that's honestly all I want to see is them get serious about the product now.
Okay. I don't want to talk about the case against Muggsy in the Hall of Fame anymore. I feel yucky. Let's move on. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
I love you, Muggsy.
Bees everywhere!
I love you so much, Muggsy. I'm really sorry. If you want to be in the Hall of Fame, that's fine. Go get in the Hall of Fame.
It's a great question by Hallie. Thank you for asking it. I think these are all really interesting topics, including the one that we've got coming up.
And I would like to know Haberstroh's case on that, so I'll have to go check it out. I didn't listen to that episode. All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast, we have a mock draft for you and another Sicko Satchel question. That's still to come. Final segment. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV and Locked On. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles with EA Sports, College Football 25, to Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. They give you the latest technology for elevated playing. It provides endless entertainment, and it's affordable. And they give you portable gaming. You can play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. Already have a console? A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take you or your kids' games wherever you plug in. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd generation, and Fire TV Cube 3rd generation. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Sicko Satchel, mock draft. This is your bag, baby. Where do you want to go first?
We'll go to the Sicko Satchel first. Final thing on Muggsy Bogues. I wish that I could, if I could time travel, here's what I would do. I would go back in time to Muggsy Bogues, and I would say, Muggsy, can you please, is there any chance I can get you to switch to the number, like, I don't know, 39 or something? Because then you're only going to compete with Tommy Tolbert, and I can get your jersey retired. You're going to be a great player for the Charlotte Hornets, but they're going to have a difficult time retiring jerseys because of team success. If I can get you to switch to number 39, you'll only have to compete with Tommy with the frosted tips, Tommy T, Tommy Tolbert, and you will get your jersey retired for the Charlotte Hornets. But he wore number 1. A lot of competition there. We still haven't done who wore it best. I don't think it's going to be, it might be Muggsy. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it's going to be difficult.
We don't have to have the debate now. I find it hard to believe that you're going to beat Muggsy with number 1. But the other thing is, too, have you seen the NFL stuff real quickly with Abdul Carter asking for retired jersey numbers? Like, he's been going to multiple. He asked Lawrence Taylor. Yes. Lawrence Taylor. He asked Lawrence Taylor for his number. And then he's like, Lawrence Taylor said, no, go get your own number because mine's retired. Then he asked Phil Simms. Phil Simms said, sure, you can use it, except Simms' family said, no, he can't. It's retired. Dad, husband, you can't do this. And so Abdul Carter just refuses to wear a number that's not retired for some reason.
Go make your own legacy. It just goes to the conversation we were just having with the Charlotte Hornets. This version, particularly with a new ownership group, go and make your own legacy. For God's sake.
Oh, my God. I mean, it's perhaps a little bit of a darker example, but can you imagine if somebody just wants to come in and wear Bobby Phil's number? Like, yeah, is that okay? Like, no, you can't. You know why? Because it's retired. Because this is what the team decided to do. It's because it's no longer worn anymore. That's what you do, anyways. All right.
By the way, if you had any questions about my sickness, I just said that if I had the ability to time travel, I wouldn't go and remove any bad guys. I wouldn't stop any bad events. I would go and tell Muggsy Bogues to change to the number 39.
39. Oh, my God. Yeah.
The fact that I know that Tommy Tolbert wore the number 39.
I didn't stop you from any of that either. Just let you do it. Just let you hop in that time machine and go right back to the early 1990s. That's what.
Well, if you get a time, well, that's a good point. If you get a time machine, you should go back in time and stop me from getting in the time machine that goes back to tell Muggsy to change the number 39. And there is the plot of Back to the Future 4.
Everybody's favorite. All right.
Schumann of the 22nd Mullins Regiment asked this great pod about the Big Three and Kimba joining the Big Three. My question for the Satchel: who are y'all drafting for a Horncats Big Three? 3 starters, 3 reserves. Rule number 1: substantial time, 3+ seasons with Charlotte. That's killer. Rule 2: it has to be a player in their current condition. Sorry, B. Diddy, you've been eating well since retirement. Oh, I didn't say it. That was Schumann of the 22nd Mullins Regiment. B. Diddy, I love you. But wow, man, we are really killing the classic Hornets point guards today. Here's who Schumann's going with: Kimba, Marvin, Al Jefferson, Gerald Henderson, Cody Zeller, Jeremy Lamb, with MKG as the alternate. Can you beat any of those picks?
Yeah, I can.
3+ seasons.
What are you doing? Well, I can't. I would choose Al Jefferson just because that man had an old man game as soon as he was in the league out of high school. So old man game then. He's been practicing this for the last 20 years. Al Jefferson was made for the big three. I got to go with my guy, Glenn Rice, man. Glenn Rice, even in his condition, which I know he's older than a lot of the players that you're talking about, but the dude has to be able to still shoot, right? Like I'm going with the shooter. So give me Glenn Rice also a part of this equation. And then, so I've got a big guy. I got a shooter. I feel like I need Kimba. Kimba's probably the one. So the only pick that I have different from Schumann is Glenn Rice. I feel like Kimba has to be your point guard just to have a little bit of quickness with all those old guys. But give me Kimba, give me Glenn, give me Al Jefferson. Those are the guys that I'm drafting.
So, yeah, I think these are all pretty good picks. Although if we have to take them in current condition, I have questions about Al Jefferson because I haven't seen him in a while. So I don't know what his current. He's a bigger dude, and sometimes bigger dudes they get bigger. And so
and Glenn Rice, by the way, did. Glenn Rice did get bigger as well. So
that's fine. That's fine. They're well within their right. They've stopped playing. They don't have to, have that discipline anymore. It's difficult for me to have discipline. I'm not critiquing that. I'm just saying if you're building a team, I'm just gonna need to check in with Al Jefferson. I'm gonna need to do a Zoom real quick. Just to make sure. But Hendo, I've seen him recently. Cody Zeller, Jeremy Lamb, pretty confident there. Marvin, Kemba. Again, the 3-year requirement's killing me because I think I'd throw Jeremy Lin in here. I think he's got enough in the tank to do some damage in the big three. The injuries took him out, but I don't think they were such that they would preclude him from playing big three basketball. So if you take that requirement away and just give me a Hornet, I would throw Jeremy Lin in there. Stack Jack, did he play 3 seasons? I mean, throw Stack Jack in there.
He's already played in the Big Three. He's already played in it, right? So Stack Jack might be able to do it. Yeah, the problem is, are you just picking players that have been retired within the last 5-6 years, right? Do you just not go beyond that because of the physical condition that they're in? I wanted to open that up a little bit. I remember when I went like 5 years ago, Cuttino Mobley was playing and some older guys like that. So that's like around where Glenn Rice was finishing up. Glenn Rice was finishing up early 2000s. That's where Cuttino Mobley was. I think probably went into the late 2000s. So it's not too far off of that. But again, even that was 5 years ago. So yeah,
I don't know where his game is. But if I can't have Jeremy Lin, I've seen this guy on the Pelicans broadcast. Oh, Brevin Knight. Like, throw me some Brevin Knight. I think he could. I don't know where his game's at, but he seems like just physically he's still the same wiry guard that I remember watching with the Bobcats. So give me a little Brevin Knight in there too if you need a little extra guard help.
You are sick. There's no doubt about it. All right, mock draft time. Let's finish up with a nice mock draft that has us getting a top player here. Doug, help us out.
So we're going back to the CBS Kyle Boone. I don't know if he's updated his mock draft, but he threw out his prospect rankings. So what I want to do here is create a mock draft out of thin air. That's what we have to do when you're on day 33 of 61 of the mock draft a day project. So I'm going to sim the lottery here. Ooh, Charlotte moving up one spot into the second position. Washington gets the first pick, well-deserved by Washington there. They move up one spot as well. Tough for old Utah. They drop 4 spots. San Antonio jumps up 5 spots to the third slot. Okay. And so Kyle Boone, he has his rankings, and he's got Dylan Harper, number 2. So no change there. Pretty chalk across the board. Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey 3rd, VJ Edgecombe 4th. Trey Johnson, I think he's really locking in his top 5 status right now. And then Con Knipple 6, Jeremiah Fears 7, Jace Richardson 8, and I'll stop there.
Fears and Richardson, interesting names we haven't really talked about a ton. Fears a little bit, not so much Jace Richardson though. In that
tiny guards, spot. I don't want a tiny guard. I think there's too many shooting guard options. One of them they just have to be available at 6, 7. I start to have some questions. I really think 6 and 7, if they drop there, that's when you as the Hornet, if you're the Hornets, you have to really monitor and say, do I have a chance at Bailey, Edgecombe, Johnson, Knipple, and really be sure about Bailey. And if not, then that's when you're in trade back territory if all of those guys jump up above you. But I think one of Trey Johnson, Con Knipple, or VJ Edgecombe will be available at 6. But 7, to me, 7's automatic trade back.
No tiny guards. Muggsy Bogues doesn't get in the Hall of Fame. I mean, just what's going on, man? Yeah,
it's a different league. It's a different league. Okay. It's a different league. I mean, if we're talking honestly, like Muggsy was extremely small. The guards have gotten a lot bigger. I mean, look at the one that we have in LaMelo is 6'7". Yeah. I mean, guards have gotten a lot bigger.
I'll say that the shooting is the only thing I think holding him back from today's day and age, though, because also in the paint, I mean, just all they did was camp out these all-star centers in the paint the entire time. So Muggsy had the 1 year where he shot exponentially better than what he did previous seasons. It was a fun season for him. It was like 97, 6, something like that. Anyways, that'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your pods. That includes YouTube. Now, make your second listen Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night until an NBA champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA and YouTube wherever you listen, or YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. Okay, have a great weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday. It's lottery day, baby. You're going to be in Chicago, correct?
That's right. I'll be posting some content on the YouTube channel and possibly on the podcast feed, but definitely on the YouTube channel. I'm going to try to do live reactions. If all of the tech cooperates, I'll do live reactions to the lottery selection. I think I'm going to do something with Nick Carboni of WCNC as well, so check that out too.
Okay, yeah, by the way, a little bonus content when you thought the show was over. We're a little bonus content. You need to bring the Big Dub hat as a good luck charm. You need to bring the paper claiming that Shea Serrano liked our podcast and tweeted about it one time. You need to bring that as a good luck charm. You need to bring, okay, there you go. There's the paper.
What about the hat the grandmama hat that I bought for the grandmama costume?
Oh yeah,
bring that?
You got it.
This is the last time they had the number one pick in the NBA draft. LJ, I think I should wear it in the building while it's happening.
And not only do you bring it, yes, you wear that. You can bring the Big Dub hat, but you wear the glasses and you wear the grandma hat. And then I need you, I'm sorry, it's for the best for the franchise. I need you to steal the Eldon Campbell Beanie Baby back from your actual baby. I need that to happen.
Yeah, the baby confiscated it. All right. Make her cry? Okay, got it.
If I don't get tears,
do what you gotta
then
do.
We don't get the first overall pick. So I need her to cry.
It's a
because
sacrifice.
She needs to feel the pain.
It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Exactly. It's like really, yeah, exactly. It's not even, it might be a sacrifice on my part, but it's really just preparing her for her Hornets future.
All right. Go be a good dad or a good grandma. I don't know anymore. Looking at you. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with you on Lottery Day, Monday.